You've probably sensed it by now. The shift that happens when you walk into a room. People pause. Conversations tilt. Some lean in, others quietly pull away. You haven't said a word. You haven't changed your voice, your look, or your posture. But something in the atmosphere responds. Something in the spirit stirs. That's not charisma. That's not charm. That's not performance. That's alignment. Divine alignment. Because when heaven begins to flow through you, it doesn't whisper. It radiates. A powerful aura isn't something you earn by trying harder. It's born from walking in step with the Spirit of God. And when that happens, you don't just enter a room. You enter with authority. The world may not know how to explain it, but it can't ignore it either. Some will feel safer, some will feel seen, others may feel exposed. And that's not your fault, it's the light doing what light always does. Jesus said, "Let your light so shine before men." Matthew 5 verse 16. He didn't say force it, he said let it, because real light doesn't compete, it reveals. In this video, we'll uncover 5 signs that your energy has become a spiritual force. If anything in you has felt this shift, even if you didn't have the words for it, go ahead and type, "I've felt it too." That's not just a comment, it's a confirmation. Let's begin. Sign 1. People feel exposed around you. You didn't do anything wrong. You walked in with a calm spirit. You smiled. You were kind. You weren't trying to prove a point or take up space. And yet, someone looked away. Another one crossed their arms. Another shifted in their chair or started talking just a little too much to fill the air. Something in them reacted, and you've seen it before. This isn't new. You've had people avoid your gaze without a reason. You've seen friends pull back, not out of anger, but out of discomfort they couldn't name. Even strangers sometimes glance, hesitate, and either lean in or pull back. And deep down, you've wondered, why does this happen when I'm just being me? The answer isn't about your words or even your personality. It's about your presence. Because when your aura becomes powerful, not by force but by alignment, it turns into a mirror. Not a mirror of appearance, but of truth. And here's the thing about truth, it never flatters. It reveals. The light you carry begins to expose what others have worked hard to hide. Not because you're trying to see it, but because the spirit in you sees what's real. And some people aren't ready for that. They're used to hiding behind their charm, their control, their image. But you walk in with a frequency that doesn't play along. It cuts through performance. It calls out what's buried. You don't even need to speak. Your silence carries something sharper than most people's sermons. That stillness, it confronts people. Because your stillness is born of surrender and theirs is still pretending. And the truth is, it's not about you. It's what's operating through you. Jesus didn't need to accuse the Pharisees to unsettle them. His presence exposed their motives. He didn't chase crowds with flattery. The hungry came and the self-righteous walked away. Because when the light of God shows up in a person, people are forced to make a decision. Do I soften or do I hide? The same thing is happening around you. You're not divisive, you're defining. You don't demand honesty, but your energy requires it. People feel exposed around you, not because you've judged them, but because they've been dodging the very kind of light you now carry. And that makes you feel like a disruption in their controlled world. But take heart. This discomfort you create, it's sacred. It's the beginning of awakening in someone who's been asleep for far too long. And even if they don't thank you now, the Spirit may be using your presence as a divine interruption. You are not here to be liked by all. You are here to be used. And sometimes that means allowing the truth in you to stir the unhealed places in them. So if you've felt this tension, if you've been shrinking to make others feel safe, if you've walked into rooms and felt the air tighten without knowing why, know this, you are not the problem. You are carrying the answer. Let the light do what it was meant to do. Let it shine. Sign 2. Strangers share their deepest secrets. You didn't ask for it. You were just standing there, maybe waiting in line, passing by, or sitting quietly. And out of nowhere, someone begins to speak. Not about the weather or traffic, but about grief, about childhood wounds, about the kind of things people usually lock behind 1,000 silences. They open up, instantly, and you don't even know their name. You wonder why it keeps happening. Why do strangers, coworkers, even acquaintances begin unraveling their hearts around you as if they've waited for that moment all their life? Here's why. Your aura is safe. Long before a word leaves your mouth, your energy says something powerful. You're not being judged here. You're being seen. And people can feel that. Most souls walk around armored, conditioned to hide, to filter, to fake composure. But when they encounter a presence that radiates calm without effort, they collapse into it. Not from weakness, but because they've been carrying too much for too long. And something in you tells them, you don't have to anymore. This kind of energy doesn't come from perfection. It comes from having been broken and rebuilt by grace. You've suffered. You've wrestled in silence. You've sat with pain long enough to no longer fear it. And now, your field, your very presence, carries that quiet understanding. People aren't responding to your personality. They're responding to your frequency. And your frequency carries mercy. That's why they share what they've never said out loud. That's why they cry mid-conversation and say, I don't know why I'm telling you all this. Because something in their spirit senses. You won't run. You won't fix. You'll just hold space, steady and sacred. This is not a burden. It's an assignment. And yes, it can feel heavy sometimes. But don't mistake that weight for pressure. It's a holy trust. When others release their secrets into your silence, they aren't placing it on you. They're placing it into the presence of something higher that your aura makes room for. Because when your energy aligns with truth, heaven begins to flow through you, and people respond not with performance, but with truth. If you felt this before, if someone you barely knew looked at you and suddenly began to cry, not because you asked, but because you simply were, know this. It's not coincidence. It's not weird. It's not random. It's evidence that your presence has become a healing space. Not because of what you say, but because of who you've become. Sign 3. You polarize people instantly. You walk into a space, and without saying a word, the atmosphere shifts. Some people lean in, curious, open, even excited by your presence. Others look away, cross their arms, or suddenly grow quiet. You didn't do anything unusual. You didn't speak differently. But something changed the room. This is the effect of a powerful aura. You don't blend in. You never could. You may have tried to be agreeable, to stay small, to not disturb anyone, but even in your silence, something about you calls people higher. And not everyone is ready for that call. When your energy carries truth, you become a mirror. And mirrors don't lie, they reflect. That reflection is beautiful to those who are searching, but it's confronting to those who are hiding. Some will feel seen and supported by your clarity. Others will feel exposed, not because you judged them, but because your frequency made their illusions harder to maintain. This isn't your fault. It's not arrogance. It's spiritual contrast. You don't have to do anything extreme for it to happen. Your presence alone begins separating alignment from avoidance. This is why people either feel magnetically drawn to you or unreasonably resistant. And it hurts sometimes. You'll lose connections you thought were solid. You'll be misunderstood by those who once embraced you. You'll be accused of changing when in fact you've only become more yourself. But that's exactly what polarizing energy does. It draws the aligned and dissolves the false. The more you walk in truth, the less neutral your energy becomes. That's not ego, that's spiritual law. Jesus said, "Do not think that I came to bring peace to the earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword." Matthew 10:34. Truth always divides before it heals. Your job isn't to make everyone comfortable, it's to stay in alignment with who God is shaping you to be. And when you carry that kind of clarity, your presence becomes a decision point for others, a moment where their soul must choose, stay hidden or start awakening. Don't take it personally when people ghost you, avoid you, or question your motives. That's not rejection, it's refinement. Your field is shaking loose what can't walk with you anymore. And in time, the ones who are meant to stand with you, the ones whose frequency is rising too, will find you. Because real recognizes real. And those who are ready for truth will always feel at home in your presence. Sign 4. You shift the room without saying a word. You don't have to speak. You don't need to take center stage. You can be standing quietly by the wall, sitting at the edge of a meeting, walking into a place where nobody knows your name, and still something changes. The atmosphere adjusts. Conversations slow, voices soften, people become more aware of themselves, more careful with their words. They don't know why. But you do. It's not about charisma, it's not about status, it's because your nervous system has become regulated. Your spirit is anchored, and your alignment with heaven is starting to speak before you do. Your energy carries a stillness the world rarely feels, and when you enter a room, that stillness doesn't ask for permission, it just starts working. You may have noticed it in small ways, people telling the truth more easily around you, laughter sounding more genuine, tension dissolving without effort. You didn't force it, you didn't fix anything. But your very presence gave the room a new frequency to calibrate to. That's not personality, that's presence. It's the result of choosing peace when chaos could have won, of doing the hard work of healing when it would have been easier to perform, of being faithful in the secret place when no one was watching, until the spirit within you became strong enough to steady the energy around you. And now, without needing a platform or a microphone, the spirit flows through you, quiet but undeniable. That's what Scripture means when it says, "Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom." 2 Corinthians 3:17. When He truly lives in you, freedom walks in with you. Not the kind that comes with volume or control, but the kind that dissolves anxiety, unravels fear, and creates space for authenticity to breathe again. People often call this a calming presence. But it's more than that. It's spiritual authority. Not authority to dominate, but authority to stabilize. In a world that runs on nervous energy, on hurry and noise and performance, your peace becomes magnetic. People don't just hear you, they feel you. And even when they don't know what shifted, they feel safer, more honest, more present. Because something inside them recognizes that your spirit is not rushing, not performing, not reaching, but resting, anchored, available. This doesn't mean you're always comfortable. In fact, you might often feel the weight of rooms before others do. You may carry emotional tension in your shoulders without knowing where it came from. But over time, you've learned to stay still anyway, to let your breath lead, to stay grounded, even when everything else is shifting. And now, you shift the space, without trying. You may never get credit for it. The world doesn't always notice the one who brings alignment, only the one who makes noise. But heaven notices. The spirit within you notices. And slowly, those around you begin to realize that when you're in the room, things feel clearer. People feel seen. The conversation changes, not because you interrupted it, but because your energy rewrote the undercurrent. So don't underestimate your presence. You don't need to be louder to be more impactful. You don't need to be everywhere to carry authority. Sometimes the strongest voice in the room is the one that says nothing, but holds space for everyone else to rise. That's what your aura is doing now. You are shifting rooms, not with force, but with frequency. And the more you walk in this kind of spiritual alignment, the more the Spirit will move through you, not just to bless you, but to bring freedom to every atmosphere you enter. Sign 5. You know things before they happen. You don't always have the language for it. There are no alarms, no signs, just a quiet certainty in your gut, a whisper in the soul. You feel something shift before it surfaces. You know who's about to call. You sense tension before the room fills. You see a decision unfold before anyone makes it. It's not paranoia, it's not anxiety, it's discernment. And your aura is what catches it. Long before your mind has time to analyze, your energy field has already sensed the incoming ripple. This is what happens when your spirit becomes sensitive to what heaven is doing. You're not reading minds, you're reading movement, patterns, energy. And most of the time, you don't speak it out loud, because it's not about proving what you know. It's about staying tuned in to what God is showing. This kind of knowing doesn't seek attention. It doesn't demand applause. In fact, most of the time, you keep it to yourself. You let others discover what you already sensed. Not because you were afraid to speak, but because you knew your role wasn't to control the moment, just to carry clarity through it. Your nervous system may feel a sudden alert. Your chest may tighten before a shift. Your emotions may move before your logic can explain why. This isn't a flaw. It's your frequency doing its work. Your spirit is tuned into higher signals, and your body is catching what others are still too distracted to notice. Scripture calls this discernment. And while the world may call it intuition or vibes, heaven knows what it really is. The Spirit guiding, warning, preparing, sometimes to speak, sometimes to stay still, but always to stay aware. You are not crazy. You are connected. The reason your spirit gets quiet before the storm or stirred before the breakthrough is because your energy field is designed not just to reflect the present, but to receive what's coming. And with that kind of awareness comes a deeper responsibility. To trust the voice of God more than the noise of man. To believe the signal, even when no one else sees it yet. That's not imagination, that's alignment. By now, maybe you've recognized it. Your energy doesn't just walk into a space, it shifts it. You don't need to chase titles or platforms. Your presence already speaks. You're not here to impress, you're here to align. Because when spirit truly rests on you, it ripples outward. People notice, not because you're loud, but because your stillness says what words never could. So if you've ever walked into a room and seen heads turn before you opened your mouth, you're not imagining it. If people feel clearer near you, safer beside you, quieter in your presence, this isn't coincidence. It's not performance, it's presence. You're not carrying charisma, you're carrying the echo of heaven. And that kind of presence doesn't shout, it shapes. If people have ever reacted to your presence before your words, declare it now in the comments. I carry presence, not performance. Let that truth settle, let heaven see. And this is just the beginning. Because in the next video we're going deeper into how your aura isn't just reflecting light anymore, it's reshaping lives. You're not just being seen, you're being sent.